This program contains crazy material, including offensive language. Listening discretion is advised.
Welcome to a VO's Padded Room podcast. So put on your straitjackets and join Big Jim and Brad Storm as they probe inside the mind of a new guest each week. So strap up and let's do this.
Our guest this week on a VO's Padded Room podcast began his voiceover journey back in 2017. Our guest started off binging YouTube videos, constructing a hobo fort, and recording 4 to 5 hours a day for 2 years straight while working his full-time job. With due diligence and determination like none other, our guest went from humble beginnings in the profession to becoming a full-time voiceover artist and coach to many aspiring voiceover talent. Our guest is a top-rated seller on Fiverr, a podcaster of over 200 episodes, and a content-creating machine the likes of nothing I have ever seen before. It's time to get strapped in the padded room because Anthony Pica, you are locked in and mic'd up.
Man, that was some good stuff right there.
What's up, buddy?
Thank you.
Anthony, man, holy crap. It's episode 25 for us.
Congrats, you guys. That is awesome.
The big 2-5, baby.
And before I take you back to the past, episode 200 for you, man. How great is that?
Dude, crazy. You know, the podcast, out of everything I've done, man, guys, the podcast, and you guys know doing podcasts, it's something about it's really special. It's been kind of the thing that really launched my business, oddly, even though, you know, it wasn't the launch of my business, like my voiceover business as a whole, because that was about almost a year before, but the podcast really launched my recording of my journey. It's become, you know, that thing, I don't know, my story, my journey, you know, the recording of me going full time. And I'm so thankful that I did it. So yeah, it was really cool, man. It was really cool.
It's like your diary, your voiceover diary.
It is.
I remember working out in the gym, just listening to you talking about ACX back in the day and talking about I would do anything. I'd record for anything with my hobo fort. And I was just like, man, this guy is relatable. This guy is definitely relatable because I was working with somebody else at the time. And that's how I was introduced to you because of your Fiverr course. And
Nice.
And I was just like, man, I can relate to this guy. And I think that's key because you're a guy that has tried to do things and fail. You failed at some things. And I was like, man, I've done that too.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
Them damn landmines, huh?
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. And I really thank you for putting yourself out there because it's allowed people like myself to be able to put myself out there and say, hey, you know, screw it. See what sticks and just go with it.
No, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And by the way, I didn't say it because thank you guys so much for having me on your show. This is exciting. And I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Really,
thanks,
I'm
man.
proud
That means
of
a
you
lot,
guys.
actually.
It's great. Not everybody is able to do something and keep going. I think that's something that with the podcast, with the 200th episode, you know, that was something for me. It's become exponentially more difficult, but you know, it's still such a part of my life. But you guys, I'm really proud of you because a lot of people start, but they don't keep going, and that's the key to this whole thing. Is you got to keep going. The consistency does pay off big time down the road, but you don't see it until you're down the road. And that's the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's in voiceover in general. You got to keep plugging away and you can't give up. I mean, it's not an easy road. This is not an easy road at all. And you could have the greatest voice in the world. But if you don't have that determination and that will to get up every day and keep trying to learn and improve, I mean, you're going to just go work at Arby's or McDonald's or whatever you want to do.
Hardee's, baby. Hardee's. Do you remember that video I did? Hardee's. A long time ago.
Hardee's, yeah. I'm going to take you back, way back, because I know people that follow your journey, they know about the hobo forts and the USB mics. But, you know, you had to start off somewhere. I remember you saying you used to play football in high school, right? So, like, you must have, what did you do? Play football and you were an actor as well? How did it all come about?
Yeah. So, so actually, when I was younger, I always loved music. So I actually was into music a lot, but I always loved sports too. So, I was in the band in middle school. I played the tuba.
Yes.
And but
Nice.
I didn't play sport. Well, I played sports, kind of like rec league, but it wasn't until high school that I was in the band at the high school, as well as I played football when I was in the 9th grade, and I was then we moved in the 10th grade down to Ocean Springs, Mississippi. So I lived in Virginia most of my life, and we moved down to Mississippi, Ocean Springs, and I went to a school that the high school happened to be the state champions the year before. So they had a heck of a training program. They had a bunch of money. It's just like out of Friday Night
pressure,
Lights. I mean,
right?
those schools down there are the real deal. So anyways, they had a heck of a training program, and that really changed my life as an athlete, even though I was in the 10th grade. It was a full year kind of training program, and I was only there for a year, actually. And then we moved back in my 11th grade year, so I'm in Virginia, in Williamsburg, Virginia. But I was in Yorktown. And 11th to 12th grade, I got into theater in the 11th grade, and it kind of went like this. There was this girl.
I was just going to ask, was it a woman? There you go.
There was this girl, and she was, I really liked her, and she was like, She came to me and said, "Wouldn't it be great if you were in the play and I was in the play and we were in the play together?" And I said, "Yes, it would."
Absolutely.
So,
I'm an actor too.
I auditioned for the play, and I got a comedic role, and I think it was my first show was Guys and Dolls, and I was Nicely Johnson, and that year. Now, mind you, I gotten real serious about football. I was like, man, I want to go to college to play football.
What
that was
position?
my thing. But at the time, I played center.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So I played center, and I played defensive tackle.
I played defensive end, and back then it was wingback / tight end. So it's kind of like.
Oh yeah, nice. So as time went on, in high school, I really started to fall in love with theater because I'd get, people seem to laugh at me a lot. So it was a lot of fun getting up in front of people. It became actually really a part of me as well. But I loved sports. And that year, I played football, and then I played basketball. I was on the wrestling team, and I didn't do baseball because of the show. Anyways, so I ended up going to college for football, but also for theater. So it was an interesting thing. And when I went to college, I did both, but I went to a Division III school, so I didn't have, you could get scholarships for things like theater and music, but not sports. So anyways, I went and I did football for a little while, but, in college, there wasn't enough time to do both. And I was traveling around as an actor, and so unfortunately, I had to leave. Big part of what happened to me in football was I came home my freshman year, and I think it was over Thanksgiving or something like that. And I'd gone out with some friends, and I was coming back, and I was only a mile from my house, and I fell asleep on my truck, and I flipped my truck like 3 times and ended up upside down in the ditch. And yeah, it's craziest story. Like my mom came, right, and the ambulance and everything was there. I remember flipping. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a vehicle where you flipped it, but have you ever seen Ace Ventura, the second one, where he like flips the truck and he's like, ah! It feels just like that, man. I swear. Like it just. Anyways, I was upside down, and the next thing I know, I was out. And here's the crazy thing. So later on, I was fine, but I had a serious concussion, and I trained a little while longer with the football team, but I never ended up really getting back a helmet on me. And but anyways, just the crazy thing about that story, right, was like my mom had come, and she had told me that there was this guy there with a baseball hat on, right? And like she was freaking out and everything, of course, because they had me on the stretcher and everything. I was going to the hospital, and she said this guy just told her that everything was going to be okay. He was going to be okay, right? And then he just walked away. That's what she said. Later on, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
I was
Highway
out
to
of the
heaven.
truck, right? Later on, we went to go look at the truck, and it was smashed. But here's the crazy thing: none of the windows were broken out, right? And I was upside down, by the way, in a ditch, and it had just poured. None of the windows were broken out, and the doors were smashed shut, so they weren't open. But somehow I crawled out of the truck, but my pants weren't dirty. Like there was nothing, there was no like stains or anything on my pants or anything like that. And I don't know, it was one of those crazy things, my mom, she's like an angel, or something. And
I wonder if he helped you out.
That was pretty crazy story from my freshman year, but that kind of changed my sports. I just went kind of full time into theater and acting, and so that's how all that kind of happened. And then I started touring around, and my college career really kicked me off as an actor. It's all I wanted to do. But as you get to become a senior, I had met a woman who's my wife now, and she
there it is again.
I had to make a decision.
Again.
Actors, it's a tough thing. Voice acting is so wonderful because we have the ability to be stationary and yet perform all over the world, whereas a traditional actor, you can't be stationary. You've got to go where the work is physically. And, I had to make a decision whether I was going to try to go somewhere or, move somewhere. She was a teacher at the time because she graduated before me. And so I decided to throw my hat in the ring and become a teacher as well. I went back and started teaching at the place I went to school at in York County. And that's where my wife actually still works for York County today. Which was back in 2003. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's how that that's how that background.
I mean, so
story.
you never got an agent or anything, huh? You never got an
No,
agent.
it's weird. When I got into voice acting, it was never no, and I always thought I never would get an agent. Well, here's the thing: when I was in college, as an actor, I always heard stories about unions or agents and stuff, and how there was such specific rules, right? And they had to do this, they had to do that. Like they used to have, they had to, as a stage actor, you're part of the stage acting. They had to be X amount of feet from a bathroom. Like you couldn't rent. You had to if you use your own shoes, they'd have to pay for renting your shoes and stuff like that. Just all this kind of stuff, and then it was a lot of hey, if you're part of the union or things like that. I don't know why I attach agents with unions, but it was always it always felt like it was limiting. And now again, this is no not from experience working with an agent. I thought, I wanted to do this myself. And I figured maybe, if there was an agent, maybe they'd contact me. No agents contact.
How did that work
That's
out?
all right.
Why are you not contacting me? I'm here. I've arrived.
I know. No,
I'm kidding.
It's okay.
No,
I decided not to just try to figure that out and go after an agent. Just to do it. Honestly, I just wanted to be an audiobook narrator. I thought it'd be cool.
Yeah.
To search my name and be able to find me on Amazon or something, and here we are.
And you've put in a lot of time. You put a lot of man hours in. You've worked your ass off. You've already started a couple of years back reaping those rewards. But you always you're an excellent teacher, and I think that is key in voiceover, especially if you want to be a coach. You got to know how to teach people, and you got to know how to talk to people without breaking their psyche. Because when people start off, they're not not everybody's good at it. And, people need, they need positive reinforcement. And you always talk about affirmations. And that was something I took with me. And I had to retool my brain because I was always you'd always think the worst case scenario. And I know you've had naysayers, and I have people that have been jealous possibly. And, people coming at you. How do you block that out? Because I remember there was an ACX group. Somebody mentioned your name, right? And they all went, "Oh, who's this person? Oh, yeah." And you're like, "I'm not going anywhere." And how do you deal with that? As the bigger you get, because you're going to get more of that, right? So how do you deal with that?
Um, that's I mean, here's the thing. I think this is really the honestly, to me, the more open I am, the more transparent I am, and the more everything I do is about really trying to help people, no matter what they want to do. It seems to be one of those situations where I don't get, when I do come across somebody, I try to shower them with kindness, I don't take that route of arguing. I mean, I love some people that I know that really love to dive in and go for the jugular and people. I think they love to fight. But I'll be honest with you, this is where my teaching, so I was a teacher for many years and high school students. And I have to tell you, if you want to learn how to if you want to learn how to be patient with people, especially, people who don't like you or don't want to be around you, be a high school teacher.
Teach high school.
And it really it just really helped you because you start to realize that a lot of times people they're not really mad at you. Right? They're not really mad at you. They really don't like you. They're frustrated with something going on. They're frustrated with themselves or with a situation. And also, I've seen a lot of stuff happen too where people are very cavalier with their opinions online and their thoughts and they're not, I think, aware of how that portrays them. And I know for me, I want, even if people disagree with me, I always wanted them to feel like, hey, listen, this, I might not agree with the guy, but he's a pretty stand-up guy. I want to empathize. Like I always said, I think one of the biggest things happened to me a while ago. I had someone was from the podcast. And I was talking about Fiverr, and I had a lady, and I'll never forget, and she sent me this massive, multi-paragraph thing about how I was screwing over people or something.
Was her name Karen? I'm just kidding.
No. But she was very adamant about how I shouldn't, recommend people work on Fiverr and things like that. And, I did a podcast on it. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember exactly what I said all in the podcast, but the whole idea was, I said, I understand her point of view. I mean, if you've worked your entire life for something, you believed in something, you've built a career for you and your family, you depend on it, and something changes, and it comes along, and it threatens to change everything that you've worked an entire lifetime for. That's scary, and I could see why someone would be, very upset and very frustrated with people. And also, if there's other people out there, just constantly bashing and saying how horrible it is, I get it. I mean, so, I think people don't expect when they're angry for you to say, hey, I see your point of view. I think that really makes people take a step back and be like, well, now what? I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, you just and maybe hell, all of us could do a little more of that in this world, but we just step back and I see where, where you're coming from. And actually it makes a lot of sense where you're coming from. And I say, and I said that to her, and then she actually messaged me back after that podcast because I sent her the link to the podcast, and thanked her for her comment and for what she had to say, and she sent back a message to me thanking me for the podcast and the kind words, and that she was just been struggling, and I mean it just really you never know what someone's going through, and I think a lot of times it's so hard to take the high road.
Yeah, and see that's what, Anthony, I love the transparency because it shows familiarity with people that are struggling or going through the same thing. I remember at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., when you first started, because I've been with you basically since I want to say name drops, but the Earl days, and I think Brad has too. But listening and I remember. Okay, I know he's up at 3 a.m., so he should release it any second. Waiting for that podcast because of that familiarity. That shit, like...
Yeah, you're right. We used to call it, when it was Midnight Warriors.
Yes,
that was
it
was Midnight Warriors for a while.
Yeah, so I think, but people out there, listeners, appreciate that transparency and that familiarity because they're in the trenches and they don't want somebody that's fake that's saying, yeah, you can do this and it doesn't take much,
Funny thing is too, like when I was growing up, it's like, and when the internet started hitting, being normal, you still didn't want to put yourself out there. It's just like something you didn't do. He's like, my parents were like, oh, we keep to ourselves and, and everything like that. You have to learn how to put yourself out there and not worry about what everybody's saying. And I feel like with Fiverr too, it's like it's like PlayStation, Xbox owners, the Fiverr is like Xbox and then PlayStation's all the GVAA rate people that are just like, oh, you need to do it. And they just battle and waste a lot of energy. Who cares what people are doing? I know maybe they're like, oh, well, this is going to hit my pocket. Well, that's competition. That's life.
It is. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, are locked in to a group and they don't know how to get out of it. Meaning that, I work with a lot of people who come to me privately who want to, SAG after actors who feel like they can't publicly do something because of the pushback and everything, but they want to get on Fiverr. Then they want my help, under a pseudonym or something because they just need to make money, as a voice actor, and they understand. But the group that they're in, they feel wouldn't understand, and that's tough.
Yeah, it's really tough, and I don't know the answer to that. I mean, you got to be comfortable with what you're doing, and these other people aren't putting money in your pocket, so.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth.
Let the games begin! Let the games begin! Let the games begin!
That's right. We know what that sound means. It's time for another round of a VO's Padded Improv. Today, Anthony, we're going to have you read Another One Rides a Bus as a psycho nut job. So when you're ready, the mic is yours.
Okay, so I'm just doing this solo, huh? I'm trying to think about the rhythm for the,
Like as a psycho nut job? Like, come on, crazy!
All right, here we go.
Riding in a bus down the boulevard, and the place was pretty packed. Couldn't find a seat, so I had to stand.
Yes.
With the perverts in my back.
Sorry.
It was smelling like a locker room. There was junk all over the floor. We're already packed in like sardines, but we're stopping to pick up more. Look out! Another one rides the bus. Ah! Another one rides the bus. Ah! There's a suitcase poking me in the ribs. There's an elbow in my ear. There's a smelly old bum standing next to me. Hasn't showered in a year, seriously. Well, I think I'm missing a contact lens. I think my wallet's gone. And I think this bus is stopping again to let a couple more freaks get on. Look out! Another one rides the bus. Oh! Another one rides the bus. Oh! Another one rides the bus. Hey, hey!
Hey, hey, hey!
Another one rides the bus. Hey, 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 hey!
Yes!
Yeah. That was awesome.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Oh, how was that, man?
I don't believe you have that recorded.
Welcome to a VO's Padded Room, brother.
Brought to you by 5 Hour Energy.
There you go.
When you're talking about your wreck and that person came by, I thought he was going to say, "Thanks for the ride, lady." Remember that one? Creep Show 2. Bam!
Oh, yes.
Oh, man. Well,
Yeah.
we watched a lot of game shows growing up. And, we wanted to put something in there.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it entertaining. And you did a great job, of course.
Come on down.
Hey, and getting back to the conversation at hand, we talk about trends, and you've talked a lot lately, too, about, like, with artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And, people wanting to record, they want to pay you
Yes.
for, audio tracks of your voice. What do you think the future holds for us?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a hot button topic. I mean, for a lot of people, and I think it's. I think it, and rightly so. I think it is a good something to be paying attention to. So I guess I have a couple of things, to me, if you think about Fiverr and how Fiverr was going to be the death of voiceover, a lot of voiceover artists and the industry thought, and the voiceover industry is still here. And, we move into AI, if you have the ability to look at things in a couple different ways. We have the ability to, as business owners, to embrace change. There's that saying, don't fight the forces, use them. And, or we have the ability to be frightened, scared, and upset, spend all of our energy fighting something that that we can't change.
Yes. Yeah.
And, I'm more of the other, the first one where I believe that if the time comes, which I don't think it's right now.
No.
But when the time comes that AI is a viable part of voiceover, why wouldn't I want 2 or 3 Anthonys?
Yeah, right.
I mean, the way I look at it, why wouldn't you want 2 or 3 Brads or 2 and 3 Big Jims? I mean, why wouldn't I want to, use an AI to help me do an audiobook that I really don't want to record? But my AI Anthony, AIA is going to do it for me. Big Anthony, Big Ant.
Big A.
The Big Ant, the robot, is going to do it for me.
That sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. I mean, remember that show? You didn't see that, Jim?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that's what it sounds like.
But I do think like, there's that, and there's also the idea to me that, I'm not when the time comes, I'm going to embrace it as a business owner and roll with the punches. I really don't think that, there's going to be, at least not for a long, long time, that there aren't going to be people who are going to be, hey, I just want to work with a person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't think, it's, some people come out with this thing saying they think AI is going to it's that robots are just going to, take over everything, in the world. And I'm not naive to say that it won't take some voiceover business if we are not, like I said, paying attention to it and using it. However, there is the other thing about lending your voice to it. So this is where I'm not necessarily saying I'm hypocritical in this sense, but just because I'm ready to embrace it when it's ready doesn't mean I'm going to lend my voice to it.
Yeah. That's a question too.
I don't ever give my voice or do AI stuff personally.
Yeah.
I just don't do it. Just because, like I said, I don't feel contributing to. I don't want my voice being used at that point. But when the time comes, I'm going to embrace whatever I have to. I guess that's what the thing is. I'm not going to shun it when I figure I can make the decision. But I don't currently. I don't take jobs.
I agree with you there. I agree. I'm with you there. When we have to, we will. That's survival of the fittest. And we talk about Fiverr and the possibility, or it's going to be a reality when LinkedIn gets into the mix here. How is that going to put a dent into Fiverr if it does?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it could be a big thing. Hopefully, they learned from Upwork's debacle.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I was really bullish on Upwork, and I was really excited because they had an opportunity in my mind to really give Upwork a run for its money. I mean, give Fiverr runs for its money when they released their gigs and things that they were doing. But they, for some reason, either maybe we don't know, maybe Fiverr, maybe there was something behind the scenes that stopped them dead in their tracks, but it's not rolled out really very well. There's no even
videos.
For voice actors, there's no even way to there's no way to share videos anywhere on the platform. And it was like they just stopped moving forward with it. And, it's been dead in the water. I mean, I don't have, of course, a crystal ball into what everybody's doing there, but at least all the voice actors I work with, and, I worked with a bunch, no one gets business through that or anything like that. And so that was just a big let down because I was excited what they were doing. So, the thing with LinkedIn is it's very exciting if they approach it the right way. But either way, no matter what they do, it, again, I think goes a long way to legitimize, just the type of gig economy and the future of what we are, what we all are a part of right now. You know what I mean? Especially with everything going on in our country. I think that us as individual business owners, who are, not dependent on employers, is a big shift, more and more, an ability to make a good living, online, and we can work throughout the world in a snap of a finger. It's quite exciting. So yeah, I think that LinkedIn could be a massive thing. It could be really exciting, and they could really give Fiverr a run for their money, or it could solidify Fiverr even more. And make and turn a lot of people on to the gig economy, and if they screw it up, send them all to Fiverr, out of not intentionally,
Right, yeah.
but I think it's going to bring a lot of awareness. And here's the thing: when that awareness comes to even more people, even more bigger businesses, this is what a lot of us have been waiting for, I think, because a lot of these businesses on LinkedIn, they're going to realize. And this is where the rest of the industry, in my opinion, needs to just pay attention again. They're going to realize we don't have to pay quadruple the amount of money to this. I don't have to pay $10,000 when I can pay $1,000, or when I don't have to go through 5 different middlemen to get to the voice actor.
Right.
I can just go through one middleman, which is like LinkedIn or Fiverr. It's going to bring even more people to the gig economy, more businesses, bigger businesses. So it could be very disruptive, I think, more so for the voiceover industry personally than I think for Fiverr, just because I think Fiverr is going to get a lot of business, I think, from it as well. So, but again, I think it depends on how LinkedIn rolls it out, and if they do this thing with, depending on how they take payments, they got to make it easy. They got to make it, the thing with Fiverr is they tout that they go through it takes them under 15 minutes for someone to get on the site to place an order, which is just incredible to me. And, that's fast. Yeah. I mean, from them to be on the site, find what they're looking for, place an order, it to go through. That's impressive when they're looking for a service where a lot of times, you could search for days and weeks and months. It's such a difference. So with LinkedIn, I'm interested how they'll do it. Will there be a marketplace? Will they do it as,
Membership?
you can go to, or you can go someone is selling a service just through their profile, where they say, I'm open for business. Like you can put that thing on your thing. What does that mean? Does that mean you have services that'll pop up? In which case, then it will become, in my personal opinion, if that's if they just do it that way, where you have to just, you have to go out on LinkedIn and get your own business. I think that's cool, but I don't think it'll be as effective as a Fiverr model where there's a marketplace. It would be cool if there was a tab that they could go to, and then there was a marketplace, you know what I mean? Like on LinkedIn, there was a tab, that you could click on, and there was go into the marketplace and search for stuff. I think that would be beneficial, but we'll see what happens. Either way, I think it's going to be really cool to pay attention to and really beneficial for, for us who love to get ourselves out there. But if you're not, again, if you're just continuing not paying attention to this stuff, it's just I think it's just a bad omen for some, because it's just bringing more awareness and more people and more businesses. I mean, LinkedIn is the business hub online.
Yeah. Now I think I'm going to chime in on that. I think what LinkedIn can do different would be to seem to take better care of the talent itself. Because I notice on Fiverr, as talent, we know things go wrong that customers or whatever, they don't understand, I think having like a customer support type of thing that is actually also backing the voice actor as well, being more of, I guess, a non-biased customer service, because, a lot of times, I hate to say it, but we get screwed in the end. I get the customer first, but man,
sadly, I really don't know how they would do it. I mean, is how it sounds. I mean, without being, like, without having a specific team of, I don't know, because I understand what you're saying about Fiverr. And I think there's, you got to take the good with the bad. The crazy thing too is always to look at how much money you actually earn, or how much money you actually earn Fiverr. Because not only do you, they get the 20% from you, but they also get fees. So the fees that you don't realize can actually add up. So like whenever I look at your numbers, you got to understand it's actually more like 30 or 40% more than what you actually earn Fiverr, like you actually made total. And you don't see those numbers. They only show you what you made afterwards. But no, I understand what you mean. Yeah, it can be kind of crazy. It would be nice. It would be nice. To me, it would be nice if they gave more. I think they could do it. Actually, I think they could do it rather easily, meaning like they gave more freedom to the seller, that there was not going to be penalized. You were not going to be penalized for, canceling a job, or you're not going to be penalized for someone being a jerk to you and you not,
Right.
Or a snowstorm in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or when, for instance, I was dropped a whole level when I was hospitalized for pneumonia. Now, I had reached out to the customer. The customer understood. He was happy with that. He was okay with it. Everything was resolved. But then Fiverr came back and said, too bad. It doesn't matter. There's no, there's no leeway. Basically you've got to be dead or,
Yeah. I definitely agree with you on that one. I really do think that they could do, and I get, it's like you become really just stuck on the rules that you can't budge on them. But because of that, that's you're right. I mean, that shows that there's nothing built in to try to say, hey, there are situations where it would be nice if you would believe, people go through stuff.
And I'm not here to bash Fiverr by any means at all, so don't get me wrong. That's not where this is going at all.
No, I understand.
Yeah, exactly. No compassion, but I think it's the one size fits all that it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that way, of course. But
you're right. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. Sorry.
Almost like a rep for the, for the voice actor, a rep for the seller. And those guys go head to head.
And I don't know if that's what Seller Plus program with Fiverr is going to try to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, even though they've just rolled it out in the beta testing now, with some people, but their overall goal is to roll it out for everyone who wants to be a part of it. And I think that, that will, when you have an issue, you can message them directly. They'll help you out. I really do think that's Fiverr's answer to this as we're talking through it. Because you're right. I think you're right. I think they need a rep. They need a person who can, look through these things and say, hey, listen, this is something that
legit.
Yeah, that I need to do something about, and I can because Bob is in the hospital or something, and that's an issue, and we shouldn't have this problem, So I'm right there with you. I think hopefully that's what Fiverr's trying to do.
Well, hey guys, we went a little bit over, and that's great. I mean, because there's an abundance of information. I appreciate.
Time flies.
It does. It always flies.
It goes quick here. I'm telling you, man. It really does.
I want to thank you for coming on the show, Anthony. You want to make a shout out to anybody in particular, or you want to plug any of your sites or social media?
Oh, thanks, man. Well, first off, I want to thank you guys. Really appreciate it. This has been a blast. I can talk all day. That's the bad thing, man. I can just talk. I want to thank A VO's Journey group and everybody out there for being such amazing, just keeping the journey going. So my website's avosjourney.com, www.avosjourney.com. And you can find all kind of stuff there. And of course, the Facebook group is avosjourney.com. We'd love to have you. And we're just a group that's for everybody trying to grow their voiceover business. So, man, stop by. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely. And you can find me at bigjimmedia.com. It's my website. And LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook at Big Jim Media. And how about you, Brad? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You can check me out at bradstormvo.com, bradstormvo, Instagram, Twitter, bradstorm voiceover, Facebook, business. Brad Storm Lanou on LinkedIn, Brad Storm YouTube, and you can check out a VO's Padded Room on Captivate, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also YouTube and Ghana. I didn't even know what Ghana was until the other day. So that is it. And Jim, you got something to say?
I do. And remember, when the day gets long and shit gets real, you gotta
punch every day in the face. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show.